8 guns, that's all it takes. 8 specific firearms or setups that, depending on where you live, could instantly make you a felon without you even realizing it. And if one of these is sitting in your safe tonight, you might unknowingly be facing serious criminal charges, carrying years in prison, and the permanent loss of your right to own guns ever again. This isn't a warning about something that could happen in the future. This is happening right now, in March 2026. A wave of state-level enforcement actions, triggered by recent court rulings, has completely shifted what millions of gun owners can legally keep in their homes. So, firearms that were completely legal to buy just months ago are now banned, restricted, or require registration that many owners aren't even aware of. Imagine this. You purchased a rifle 3 years ago. Everything was fully legal. All banned, restricted. You walked into your local gun shop, completed the paperwork, passed your background check with no issues, brought it home, and secured it in your safe. Maybe you took it to the range a few times, but lately it's just been sitting there gathering dust. Fast forward to today. There's a knock on your door. Officers responding to a routine noise complaint from a neighbor. While talking to you, one of them glances inside and spots that rifle. Suddenly, you're in handcuffs being read your rights because that gun you legally purchased is now considered illegal in your state. That scenario is happening right now to real people all over the country in 2026. And that's exactly why this video exists. Have you subscribed yet? Videos like this are the reason this channel exists. Gun laws are changing faster than most owners realize, and millions never hear about those changes until it's too late. They find out during a traffic stop, a police encounter, or after receiving a notice in the mail. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell right now, so you never miss an update like this one. Now, let's break down what has changed and why it matters so much. Over the last 2 years, a series of major legal battles have worked their way through the federal courts, detachable courts. Some focused on firearm features like pistol grips or threaded barrels. Others challenged magazine capacity limits. Some questioned the authority of states to regulate certain firearm configurations. The outcome of these cases was huge. States were granted broader power to redefine what qualifies as a legal firearm within their borders, and they acted quickly. States such as California, New York, Illinois, Washington, Massachusetts, Maryland, New Jersey, and Colorado wasted no time expanding definitions of restricted or banned firearms. Enforcement agencies updated interpretations of existing laws. The result is a patchwork of regulations where the exact same firearm might be completely legal in one state and send you to prison just across the border. Here's the part that surprises most people. Many gun owners assume that if they purchased a firearm legally, it will always stay legal. That assumption is no longer safe in 2026. A gun that was legal at the time of purchase can become restricted or banned if the law changes or the legal definition of that firearm changes. When that happens, states may require you to register it, modify it, transfer it out of state, or surrender it entirely. And sometimes those compliance deadlines are very short, 60 days, 90 days, or in some cases, just a few months. Miss that window, and you're automatically out of compliance, regardless of when or how you legally bought the firearm. Before we go further, one thing must be crystal clear. Everything in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not legal advice and should never replace guidance from a licensed firearms attorney, familiar with the specific laws in your state. Firearm laws differ widely between jurisdictions and can change fast. Always confirm the current law where you live before making any decisions about your guns. Now, let's get into the 8 firearm categories at the center of this legal storm. First up, are pistol configurations. You know the ones: compact, short-barreled firearms built on an R platform with a pistol brace instead of a traditional shoulder stock. For years, these firearms existed in a legal gray area. Owners loved them for home defense and range use, and many assumed they were classified as pistols rather than rifles. But after recent legal interpretations were upheld by multiple courts, several states reclassified the firearms as short-barreled rifles under state law instead of pistols. That reclassification is extremely important. Short-barreled rifles are subject to heavy regulation. In some states, they require special permits and registration. In others, they are completely prohibited. In several states, including California and New York, the registration window already closed in early 26, leaving thousands of owners scrambling to figure out what to do. Firearms attorney currently handling multiple cases describe the situation very clearly. People bought these firearms legally, followed every rule that existed at the time, and now they face possible confiscation because the definition changed underneath them. If you own an R pistol configuration, you need to check its legal status in your state today, not next week. The second firearm category affects one of the most widely owned rifles in the country. Semi-automatic rifles with detachable magazines and certain defined features. Many states previously used what's called a two-feature test, meaning a rifle needed to have two or more specific restricted features before it could be classified as a banned firearm. But after recent legal developments, several states lowered that threshold dramatically. In places like Illinois, Washington, and Massachusetts, a semi-automatic rifle with a detachable magazine and just one additional feature may now qualify as a prohibited weapon. Those features include things like a pistol grip, a folding or telescoping stock, a thumbhole stock, or a flash suppressor. And here's the detail most people completely overlook. These laws apply retroactively. That means the rifle your grandfather passed down to you, or the one you customized years ago, could already be illegal to possess right now. States are requiring owners to modify their firearms, remove prohibited features, or surrender them within compliance windows that usually range between 60 and 180 days. There are documented cases of owners in Colorado who believed they were grandfathered in, only to face charges during a routine traffic stop when the firearm was discovered in their vehicle. The assumption of grandfathering can be dangerous. Always verify your compliance with the actual statute currently in effect in your state. Third on this list is one that caught many gun owners by surprise. A-style semi-automatic rifles with fixed magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds. For years, some owners believed that using a fixed magazine design would keep their rifle compliant with state capacity restrictions. At the time, that logic seemed reasonable, but updated statutory definitions in states like New Jersey and Maryland have expanded how capacity limits are interpreted, and now it no longer matters whether the magazine is detachable or fixed. What matters is how many rounds the firearm can hold. Even rifles that were purchased as California compliant with fixed 10-round magazines are now being reevaluated under updated standards. There have already been reports of veterans and longtime owners having firearms confiscated during unrelated encounters with law enforcement, leading to expensive legal battles. If you own an AK-style platform, do not assume that a fixed magazine automatically keeps you compliant with current state law. The fourth firearm on this list is one that catches a huge number of handgun owners completely off guard. Handguns with threaded barrels. At first glance, a threaded barrel seems harmless. It's simply a barrel with threads at the muzzle that allow attachments such as suppressors or compensators. For years, many manufacturers sold pistols with factory threaded barrels marketed for competition, shooting or suppressor-ready setups. But in several states, the legal interpretation of threaded barrels has changed significantly. Some state statutes now treat a threaded barrel as a defining feature when determining whether a firearm qualifies as a restricted or assault weapon. In simple terms, the presence of threads alone can push an otherwise ordinary handgun into a regulated category. California and New York were among the first states to adopt this interpretation, but Illinois, Massachusetts, and Washington have since followed. If your Glock SIG or any other common pistol came threaded from the factory, or if you had threads added by a gunsmith, you could be violating your state's current law. Even more important, some states define a firearm as threaded regardless of whether a device is covering the threads at the time of inspection. Reports from Maryland already describe confiscations during domestic calls, where officers noticed a threaded pistol in plain view. These are not exotic or rare firearms. These are everyday carry and home defense pistols that millions of people own. Check your state's current penal code on this specific feature. The fifth firearm category is closely related to the first, but deserves its own mention because the legal pathway is different. pistols equipped with stabilizing braces that have been reclassified as short-barreled rifles under state law. Over the past decade, stabilizing braces became incredibly popular. Millions were sold nationwide, marketed as accessories to help shooters stabilize pistol platforms while firing. Regulatory guidance on them shifted repeatedly for years, leaving owners in a constant state of uncertainty. After a series of legal challenges and updated interpretations, many states adopted stricter definitions. If a brace makes a firearm shoulderable or functions like a stock, it is treated as a short-barreled rifle under state law. New Jersey, Colorado, and Maryland are among the states that updated their statutes accordingly. Registration deadlines in some of these states passed in early 2026. Documented arrests have already occurred in Illinois and Washington during routine welfare checks and traffic stops where brace-equipped pistols were found in vehicles. If you own a firearm with a stabilizing brace, your options now depend entirely on your state. You may be able to remove the brace and return the firearm to pistol classification, register it if your state still allows, or transport it to a jurisdiction where it remains legal. What is not an option is ignoring the issue and hoping it never becomes a problem. Number 6. On this list is one that many home defense shotgun owners never expected to be impacted. Semi-automatic shotguns that combine a pistol grip with a detachable magazine. Historically, shotguns were treated more permissively than rifles under most state firearm restrictions. For many years, legislative focus was directed primarily at rifle platforms. But after recent legal developments gave states expanded authority, several jurisdictions included specific shotgun configurations in their assault weapon definitions. The combination of a pistol grip and a detachable magazine on the same shotgun is now a prohibited configuration in states including Connecticut, New York, California, and Illinois. Critically, this is retroactive in many cases. Grandfathered pre-ban status is being removed from shotguns with both features simultaneously. One Massachusetts owner discovered that his Benelli M4, a widely respected home defense firearm, went from a legally owned heirloom to a prohibited weapon essentially overnight. If your shotgun has both of these features, check the current statute in your state. Many states are now requiring owners to swap out the pistol grip for a traditional stock or surrender the firearm within compliance periods that are expiring quickly. The 7th firearm on this list has been politically controversial for years, but the enforcement landscape shifted dramatically in 2026. Rifles chambered in .50 BMG. These long-range, high-power firearms have been restricted for sale in some states for years, but many existing owners were allowed to keep firearms they already possessed under grandfathering provisions. That is no longer the case in several jurisdictions. California, New York, Massachusetts, and Colorado have moved beyond restricting sales to banning possession outright. Simply owning one of these rifles in those states may now be prohibited unless it was properly documented under earlier registration requirements. In states where those registration windows have closed, owners are facing difficult choices. Permanently disable the firearm using documented methods, surrender it through an amnesty or buyback program, or transport it to a state where possession is still legal. Collectors and competitive shooters are among the most affected. Keeping it locked away in a safe is not a legal defense in states where possession itself is now a violation. If you own a .50 caliber rifle, verify your state's current statute immediately. The 8th and final firearm category on this list may affect more people than all the others combined. Unserialized firearms, commonly called ghost guns. Over the past decade, advances in parts kits and home manufacturing have made it possible for individuals to build their own firearms. Many of these builds start with partially completed receivers, sometimes referred to as 80% lowers, which could legally be finished by the buyer at home. For years, these firearms existed in a gray area across multiple states. As long as the firearm was built for personal use and not sold or transferred, many jurisdictions did not require serialization or registration. That era is over. Following a series of federal and state rulings, California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, Washington and Massachusetts now classify possession of any unserialized firearm as a felony, with no exceptions for personal builds and no exceptions for firearms completed before the laws changed. The definition has been broadened dramatically to include not just completed ghost guns, but also unfinished 80% receivers sitting in drawers. Certain three-dimensional printed lowers and frames that can be completed with minimal tools are now included. Amnesty and serialization windows closed in multiple states, some as early as late 2025. A high-profile case in Illinois involved a hobbyist whose three-dimensional printed R lower was discovered during a home burglary investigation. He now faces felony possession charges even though the firearm was never intended for sale or transfer. Prosecutors in these states are not hesitating to charge under the new statutes. The assumption that building a firearm legally before the ban provides permanent protection is simply incorrect in 2026. At this point, you may be asking the same question thousands of gun owners are asking right now. How is anyone supposed to keep up with all of this? That is a completely fair question. The firearm laws in the United States operate on multiple levels simultaneously: federal, state, and in some jurisdictions, even local. Each layer can define firearms and firearms and firearm features differently. A firearm that is completely legal under federal law may still be restricted under your state statute. A configuration that is legal in the state next door may be banned where you live. And when legal definitions change, those changes can retroactively affect firearms you already own. That is exactly what is happening right now, faster than most gun owners have any way of knowing. So, here's what you should do after watching this video. Start by creating a complete written inventory of every firearm you own. Every single one. Rifles, pistols, shotguns, kit builds, anything in your possession. Write down the make, model, caliber, barrel length, and every modification or feature added. Many people believe they know their collection well enough to keep it in their head. When laws change, details matter. Features matter, barrel length matters, magazine type matters. A written list allows you to review everything carefully and accurately. Next, go directly to your state government's official website and locate the current firearm statutes. Not a news article, not a forum post, not a video from 2 years ago. The actual statutory language defining firearm classifications and restricted features in your state is the only source of accurate, current information. Then, compare every firearm on your list against those definitions. Pay close attention to features that could trigger restrictions. Threaded barrels, detachable magazines, stabilizing braces, folding stocks, pistol grips, fixed magazine capacities, and serialization status. Even small details can change how a firearm is classified under current law. If anything on your list is unclear or falls into a gray area, contact a licensed firearms attorney in your state. Many attorneys specializing in firearms law offer consultations to help gun owners understand their legal obligations. The cost of a single consultation is minimal compared to the consequences of unknowingly violating a firearm statute. And if you discover any firearm in your collection falls into a newly restricted category, learn your compliance options immediately. Depending on your state, those options may include modifying the firearm to remove prohibited features, registering it if a window is still open, transferring it to a jurisdiction where it remains legal, or surrendering it through an amnesty or buyback program. Doing nothing and hoping the issue never surfaces is the worst strategy because most people facing firearm charges did not intend to break the law. They simply did not know. It had changed until it was too late. Let's quickly recap the 8 firearm categories covered today. Are pistol configurations reclassified as short-barreled rifles, semi-automatic rifles with detachable magazines and 1 or more prohibited features, X-style rifles with fixed magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds, handguns with threaded barrels, pistols with stabilizing braces now deemed short-barreled rifles under state law, semi-automatic shotguns combining pistol grips with detachable magazines, 50 caliber BMG rifles in states where possession bans have expanded beyond sales, and unserialized, homemade, or ghost guns, including 80% lowers and 3-dimensional printed components. If you own any firearm in one of these categories, the most important thing you can do right now is verify the current law in your state and confirm your firearm remains compliant. The consequences of getting this wrong are serious. Felony charges, confiscation of your firearms, and the permanent loss of your ability to legally own guns in the future. If this video helped you understand something that could protect your rights and keep you out of legal trouble, subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications. Firearm laws are changing at a pace most people cannot track alone, and staying informed is the most powerful thing a responsible gun owner can do. Share this video with someone you know who owns firearms, because the more people stay ahead of these changes, the fewer will learn the hard way. Stay safe, stay informed, and verify your compliance today. Legal disclaimer. This video is intended for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Firearm laws vary widely by state and can change at any time. Always consult a qualified attorney in your jurisdiction regarding the legality of your firearms or firearm configurations.